The Bean Apple. It is week 13. Playoffs are now 3 weeks away from starting in most leagues, so this is crunch time. If you're in the hunt or trying to lock up a spot, man, these are the weeks that you need to close it all out. So we are going to give out the advice that you need to get that W again, like we do every week. Excellent advice again last week. Crushed it as usual. So definitely make sure that you're getting your questions in. We're going to run through all the games, give you our betting advice. If you guys like to bet on DraftKings or FanDuel or the casino, MGM, whatever it is, we're going to give you the lines to bet, over-unders, money lines straight up. So pretty accurate with those too for the most part. So we're basically the smaller version of Vegas. We're like Reno, I think you could say, right?
Yes, up and coming is what we
Yeah,
are.
yeah, unappreciated, or for
There you
those in the
go.
West Coast, a little Laughlin, Nevada. If you've ever been
There
down
you
there,
go.
but super small. We got like what 10 casinos. So cute little town though. Hot as all balls though. Yeah, we're gonna run through the weeks. We're gonna run through the week's games. It's important to get that last word in there, and start breaking them down. So it's just me and John today. Unfortunately, Jim is house hunting, so big moves for him coming. And don't worry, we're not making that much money on this show. But by not much, I mean nothing. Nathan, nada. So, but yeah, he's he's moving, so he's out house hunting. So we're gonna hook you up this week, though. So don't you worry about that. All right, so let's start talking football. And let's start off with a super exciting game here. Sarcasm inserted heavily, I think. Steelers at the Falcons. Pittsburgh's a 1 point favorite, so Vegas is starting to believe in Pittsburgh a little bit more after last week's showing. They actually looked pretty decent against the Colts. Kenny Pickett didn't play bad at all. But are they going to go down to Atlanta and be able to take care of Mariota and the gang down there?
I think they will. I mean, who's on offense for Atlanta right now? I mean, Pitts has been a disappointment even when he was in, and now he's out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Cordero Patterson is boomer bust. It seems like in fantasy terms. Mariota, yeah, he started out pretty good. I don't know. I just don't see who's going to score for Atlanta. And Pittsburgh's defense is playing pretty well. They played really well against Indy, who you have the running back beast up there with Jonathan Taylor. Kind of didn't really keep him in check too much, but they did enough to win.
Yeah.
And Kenny Pickett hasn't thrown an interception in like 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm starting to judge younger quarterbacks on kind of that scale instead of looking at 400 plus yards and 5 touchdowns. How many mistakes are they making? Because now
Right.
I'm having to deal with it in New England. So the more I see, I kind of move the scale around, I guess, to suit my my
Your
story.
narrative?
But
Yeah.
yes, thank you. But I think Pittsburgh will go down and win, even if Harris is out. I haven't seen yet. Snell played pretty good in his absence last week, so I like Pittsburgh plus Pittsburgh -1.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the offensive line looked much better, too, I
Yes.
think, against the Colts. And the Colts have a pretty good defense, a decent defensive line, too. So they did a pretty good job of opening holes. Actually saw Najee Harris have a little bit of running room, which
Right.
was not normal to see this year. So, yeah, I think they handle it again, though. I don't know if they're going to be in too much trouble. I think they're the more well-rounded team, which is weird to say because that offense has looked so bad. But Atlanta relies a lot on the legs of Mariota and Cordell Patterson. So if
Right.
if that defense can play the way they've been playing for most of the year and contain those two players, I think they have a pretty good chance of
Yeah.
winning that one. And I would definitely. And it is risky in this one, right? Because it's a 1 point and it's a 1 point spread and it's a home game or an away
Right.
game, so it's always you always like to favor the home team a little bit. So the spread is so tight. I don't think Vegas knows what to do with it, so they're just kind of
It's basically a money line game. It's
Yeah.
just a point up there just to put a point.
Right. So I think if you're confident, I mean, teams don't really win by 1 point. So
Right.
not very often. So I think you go with the Steelers on this one, and a 42 over under. I think that's probably the more challenging bet because this game could be a higher scoring game because the Falcons defense is not very good. If that Steelers offense looks like it did last week, they could blow that 42 out the water.
Yeah, they could. But it is an intriguing game to bet the under just because of how the offenses do play at times. So you're right. I mean, it could be one of those boomer bust games, but I think you're right. Probably the over under would probably be the way to go and bet this, depending on how you feel about it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep rolling. Hang on a second. Let me finish that. Okay. All right. So next up, Packers Bears. This is I haven't seen an update on Aaron Rodgers. Have you?
He is a go today. Justin Fields is a go today. Romeo Dobbs is not a go.
Yeah,
I don't think that affects much anyways. I think Christian Watson has taken over that number one receiver role there over Lazard, which is sad because I have Lazard on a couple fantasy teams, and it's just hard starting him right now because he's getting really no looks. And I think playing any Packers receiver today would be kind of dangerous because I think they're going to get up on the Bears a little bit, and then it's going to be either the Aaron Jones, which I hope because I have him in fantasy, or Mr. Dillon from Boston College. So
you have faith in the Packers offense.
I do. I Chicago. I mean, Mooney's out. You got who's their number one? Chase Claypool is their number one receiver this week. You got Cole Kmet. You got my dog in the background looking out the window. He's looking for Chicago Bears wide receivers right there. He was just looking out the window. He doesn't know. He can't find them either. Came over to tell me that right now. So, it's just one of those games where it's like, Rodgers is hurt, but I think they'll be able to run the ball in Chicago like every other team has done. And I expect Jones to have a huge game today.
Yeah. So I'm going to go the opposite side.
Oh, wow.
On this one. And it's not, everything you said makes complete sense, but Aaron Rodgers is in some bad shape with the finger, now the ribs. Like, I don't love what I saw last week. He didn't look very good at all in that one. And the Bears defense is not very good either, but Justin Fields is back. So that, to me, changes a lot of things. And, Mooney being out, that hurts, but they still have a good running game with Montgomery there. Yeah. And Justin Fields. I mean, he's basically one of the best running backs in football, and he's taking snaps. So I think that's going to be hard for the Packers to deal with. And I like the Packers. I like the Bears to upset the Packers on this one again. And it's weird to say because there's so much weakness on both of these teams. Like the Bears defense is atrocious, and you saw it get lit up by the Jets. But the Packers, again, with Aaron Rodgers playing the way he is, like does he finish the game? I don't,
maybe not. And I think even if he doesn't, I think Love will be okay. I mean, he looked okay in the game last week when he came in and mop up duty. But Joe, funny thing when you said it's week 13. If somebody would have said, "I'll bet you $1 million that the Packers are 4-8 come week 13," what do you think we would have said? You know what I mean? One game ahead of the Bears. It's just what an insane football season this has been this year. Really has.
Right. I mean, I was low on the Packers coming into this year. Not this low. I thought Aaron Rodgers was strong enough to at least get them to a 500 finish type of thing. But I had a good feeling that losing Devontae Adams was really going to hurt this team because he was just carrying the offense, really. I mean, you threw it up to him, and he was scoring. Like, it wasn't a thing, and the rest of the team fed off of that, and they didn't replace him with a true number one. You took a developmental wide receiver, which Christian Watson's playing, I think, above expectation at this point,
Right.
but playing very well. I thought that the running game was going to lead this team with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I thought they were just going to lean on that and just kind of try to get through this thing and pull some games out by controlling it on the ground, and they're not doing that either. So it's weird, but 4-8. No, if you would have asked me at this point, probably 6 wins, 7 wins, something like that.
Yeah, 6 or 7. I mean, I didn't think they were going to, be the 13-3 they were.
No.
But I mean,
But
honestly,
the NFL, the experts did.
right, they did. But you still had Detroit, you still had Chicago in the division. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody thought Minnesota would be 9-2 right now.
No.
You know what I mean? So you kind of figured the Packers would be up around the top with Minnesota. Not
Yeah.
with Chicago nor Detroit, but now Detroit's ahead of them. And if Chicago wins today, Green Bay will be in last. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of crazy.
That's weird to even think about, right?
That's what I mean. And I was looking at that last night as I'm looking at the standings. I'm like, what an odd football season. Not to segue off this because we don't need to, but I mean, like Denver. When we get to Denver and talk about Denver, if they would just average 18 points a game, they'd be 9-1 right now.
Yeah.
And they can't even do that. It's just what a crazy friggin' season.
Right. And losing Javonte Williams hurt them, but
Absolutely.
I mean, it's Russell Wilson is just
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
it's
get
awful.
into that one for sure.
Yeah, we'll deep dive into Denver, I think.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. All right, so I'm going Bears, you're going Packers,
I'm going Packers in this one. Going cheeseheads.
but I do
Tickets
like how
are
Vegas.
$67
Yeah,
in
I saw that.
Chicago.
Yeah.
I would love to be around there to go watch that game. I think that'd be a fun game to go see.
Yeah, I mean it's still a rivalry game. You expect it to be a tough one, so it should be a good game. It really should. But I like how Vegas set the line at 4 points too. That's a good sneaky one there.
Just to make you think, who do you truly bet on?
Yeah. All right, so let's keep rolling. So this one, surprisingly sneaky exciting. Jaguars are going up to Detroit. Both 4-7 teams, and we're talking about an exciting game, but Jaguars offense with that huge upset against the Ravens last week was shocking, right? And to go for the 2-point conversion for the win at the end, I mean,
Loved it.
That's one of those, you're a genius or I don't want to say a GOAT because that's now used in the wrong term with the NFL, but you know what I mean?
Right.
You look like a genius or you look like a moron. Like it's one of those plays. If they don't get it, it's why are the Jaguars going for 2 against the Ravens, right? Like to win the game. Like that's idiotic. But Trevor Lawrence looked very good, took control of that offense. I did watch that final drive, and he looked really, really good.
Sure did.
And the Lions offense continues to put up points. I mean, Jared Goff is doing a very good job this year of keeping that team competitive. They just, like we said, the Lions find a way to lose, but the offense plays very well and very competitive. It's just the defense. And guess who's back this week? Jameson Williams.
Very limited, too. Very limited, they said, but it'll still be nice to see him out there. Really will.
It will. I was very high on him in the draft. I still think he's probably going to be one of, if not the best wide receivers to come out of this class. His speed is just out of this world. So we'll see what the injury does to him. If that ACL tear ends up slowing him down at all, it hasn't affected players though. Recently, like you can't even tell they've had an injury after the surgeries. They're so good now. So, and the rehabs are so good. But man, watching him and I know at Ohio State he wasn't anything special. He went to Alabama and he was unstoppable. He looked like a baby Tyreek Hill is what he looks like.
Yes.
So
I mean, he was the Heisman Trophy winner. You know what I mean? Before he got hurt.
Right. Yeah. Clear cut. So
I mean, it was just insane.
He was. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be. I liked him a lot going in the draft. I wanted the Jets to take him. The rehab took a little bit longer. I was expecting him back like week 6 or 7, not week 13. But here he is back again. So very excited to watch this game. Detroit 1-point favorite at home. an over-under of 51, which I'm scrolling through. Second highest predicted score of the week, only to the Chiefs and Bengals. So expecting a lot of offense in this. And I should ask you before we get breaking into this game, for my fantasy team, I'm gonna run this by you. So I have Kirk Cousins, and this team is in second place. So I'm pushing. I think if I win this week, I'll lock up a playoff spot. But
Nice.
I have Kirk Cousins, Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook. But I also picked up Zonovan Knight, and I have Garrett Wilson. So I picked up Mike White in that one as well. But Trevor Lawrence is available on the waiver wires, which is why I'm bringing it up right now.
Huh.
So I'm going back and forth because I like the Mike White and Garrett Wilson connection.
Yeah.
And the Jets defense has been electric. So I don't trust starting Cousins against them. I can't bench Jefferson or Dalvin Cook, obviously.
No. Well, I mean, Dalvin Cook, I don't know.
I really don't have a better player
Gotcha.
to put in, so that I feel more
So
confident.
Jefferson, you have to play. Period.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who he's playing. You have to play.
Yeah.
So you figure him. Joe, give me 1 second. Sorry. Sorry, the dog went out of the room. So
Yeah.
So
Trying to get back to
Jefferson's
them.
going to get his. He's going to get his regardless who's on him. Dalvin Cook, you have to play. Other quarterbacks. So you get Trevor Lawrence and Mike White could put up the same numbers as last week. Who knows?
I mean, they're the
hold on.
number.
Let's go. Well, it's a good thing we have no viewers because that would have been embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on today, but I do thank the one viewer that's watching right now.
Yes, thank you. I don't know. Man, is White going to do the same thing? I do like Garrett Wilson. I do.
Yeah.
I love that play. In fact, I'm playing him in 2 of my DFS leagues this week. Would I play Mike White or Trevor Lawrence? Honestly, out of those 3, I'd probably go Trevor Lawrence. I think he has the most upside. ETN's healthy today, so there's going to be a balanced attack. And I think, you can either pick between the Detroit and Jacksonville game or Kansas City Cincy game as who you're going with as like your favorites to really explode today. You know what I mean? And then maybe pick up Christian Kirk too. See if you can get him. I don't know if you got him or not, but
I don't know.
I'm thinking
But
DFS.
he's not available.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So my current roster, and I just so I have Mike White. I did pick up Zonovan Knight,
Okay.
or Bam, as Jets fans know him, and
Bam,
Garrett Wilson. So and he does catch some passes out of the backfield. He had a really 100 yards total. So that's why I was leaning Mike White because he likes Garrett Wilson a lot, and Knight really came on. But we'll get into that one a little bit. So right now I've got Mike White in there, but I got a little bit of time to think about that because otherwise I'm going to be running Trevor Lawrence naked, which I don't love when I have the opportunity to double dip.
Of course.
No.
Yeah, that's a tough one there because you don't know what you're going to get
Yeah.
with White or Cousins. I mean, Cousins, you would have the connection with Jefferson, which I think Jefferson's going to have a big game. He always does. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see what the Jets corners actually really are this week because he seems unstoppable. So
he's just insane.
if they can contain Jefferson, that's a huge confidence boost there. So, but yeah, so this Jaguars game, we'll get back to that. Jaguars Lions. So a lot to like in this one offensively, but what do you like? Jaguars going in and upsetting, or the Lions going to finally? Close one out?
I'm teetering on this one. I really like Jacksonville. I think their defense is a little bit better than Detroit's. I'm going to go Jacksonville going into Detroit and kind of pulling off an upset there if you think about it, because that's a home game for Detroit. I know they just came off another big win, but
Mm-hmm.
I like Jacksonville in this one. I really do.
Okay. Okay. So I had to look because I'm definitely torn on this one, but in Pick'em, I did pick the Lions. So I will roll with the Lions at home. And I think would this be 3 in a row for the Lions?
Yes.
Let me take a look just to
Yes.
verify. Oh, no, they just lost to the Bills. So they had won
Wait,
3 in a row.
Okay, that's right.
They had won 3 in a row, barely lost that game to Buffalo because they couldn't close it out. And so, yeah, we'll see if they start another. They could get a 2-game winning streak till they have to travel to New York to play my Jets, and then they'll lose that one. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens with this. But I'm gonna go Lions. You'll go Jaguars. But I'm not very confident
Me neither. Me neither.
in that call. I do think both of these teams can win it, and I would take the over on the 51. I feel like that's way too low for what these offenses have shown. So.
Yeah.
It's indoors. You don't have to worry about weather being a factor like this. If I'm betting this game, I'm betting the over.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Jim's not here, so let's rip on the Giants a little bit against the Commanders. Both 7-win teams. Going back to the beginning of the year, if I was to say, John, I'll bet you $1 million that Washington and the Giants both have 7 wins going into Week 13. I'd own your house right now.
I would have taken that bet. You'd own everything I own.
Yeah.
Everything.
I can't even believe those words are coming out of my mouth. So in this one, Washington, 2.5-point favorite, ridiculously low, 40-point over-under. Really, really, really low. I'm trying to look. Nobody else is worse. That is your lowest projected score. Tied with the Broncos Ravens, but they're down there, right? So,
Right.
and I kind of agree with it, but I agree with the premise behind it, but I feel like that's too low
I think
for
it's
these
way
teams.
too low. I do too.
Because the Giants defense is okay. It is a home game. They play good at home. They're 4-2. Commanders are 4-2 on the road. So, but the offense has been working, and so has Saquon Barkley. So, I mean, what are you looking at in this game? Is there anything that's standing out to you?
They are both 7-4, but if you look at the Giants, they've lost 3 out of their last 4.
Yeah.
Definitely on the negative trend of what's going on. And
Agree.
Washington has won, 6 out of 7 right now. So
Is that where they're at?
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they have won 6 out of 7 games. So I'm going with Washington on this one. I know Chase Young isn't back yet. I like Tyler Heineke, of course.
Taylor?
Yeah, Taylor. Sorry, Tyler
Yeah.
Taylor. We'll get his
Yep.
name right once he plays a full season.
You got to like McLaurin, though, man. Him and McLaurin have a
Aaron
connection.
McLaurin, Gibson and Robinson, the running game I like. I just see the both teams going in a little bit different directions, and I think the lack of wide receiver help too for Daniel Jones is starting to catch up to him because there's really nobody to throw to on that team. There really isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's having a great season, but he can't do it all. He can't.
Right. And I think teams are really starting to lock in on that
Yeah,
and trying to take
course.
that away, which is good. But yeah, I'm gonna say Washington keeps winning for that exact reason that the Giants seem to be on the downward and the Commanders seem to be on the up and up. So they're on the climb and the Giants are on the decline. And I know Jim's not going to agree if he's watching while he's
Let me
house
text
hunting.
him and say sorry. I'm gonna text him real quick and be like, sorry.
Yeah, so I think Washington handles this one. They win. I'd probably just give them like a 7-point win here. Nothing crazy, but I think again, I would take Washington with the 2.5, and I would take the over in this game.
Yes, I would too. I would too.
Yeah, I like
Completely
betting that. I would double up this one. And Sarge Grease. Perfect.
Yes, he agrees. He just said yeah.
Yeah, 1 for yes, 2 for no, right? So, let's see. All right, next up, Titans at the Eagles. So another interesting game, right? Titans played tough last week, and continue to be a tough team to beat. So they are 7-4. They are 4-2 on the road. Eagles, of course, 10-1, 5-1 at home. Their only loss coming to those Washington Commanders. So Philly's a 4.5-point favorite, and another low 44.5-point over under, which I don't understand. The Eagles have been scoring in bunches. The Titans' defense is not elite. So I'm curious to see where Vegas is getting these numbers from this week, because that doesn't fit the narrative we've seen this year.
Right.
So you want to take this question real quick?
Sure.
Sorry, I was over on the other page. So CC Sharks, man, good morning. This is
I would
go Trevor Lawrence.
I would say Trevor Lawrence. Look, I got Lamar. I'm tossing between Lamar and Tua in one of my leagues, and I'm potentially picking up somebody else off the waiver wire real quick because I don't like either start. Lamar has no weapons, and I'm sorry, but Denver gives up nothing.
Yeah,
they give up no points.
Also, if you're like the worst thing in fantasy is when your opponent has your number one target. Yes. Your quarterback's number one target, because they end up outscoring them. They negate all of your quarterback points and basically take them out of the game, and you don't have a chance at that point. If you're going up against a good quarterback, they're going to blow you out. So,
and I wouldn't worry about Andrews today. I mean, he hasn't played well lately anyways. It's because Lamar has nobody to throw to. I mean, yeah, you're going to lose rushing yards, but I think Trevor will have 2-3 touchdowns today.
Yeah, against that defense.
Yep.
Easy, Trevor Lawrence, and avoid that, because, like I said, you're giving up all of Lamar's points to Mark Andrews and just negating. Yep. You're negating those two positions, and you don't want to be outscored at tight end. You don't want a tight end outscore your quarterback, and that's what's going to end up happening in this situation most likely. So go with Trevor and take that W, and don't give him any points. So, all right. So back to Eagles Titans. What do you think in this one?
So honestly, if they were playing in Tennessee, I might lean against Tennessee a little bit, or lean for them, because Tennessee is a stingy defense. They got Derrick Henry can run the ball, and he can run the ball against Philly. I think honestly, I think it is going to be a low scoring game. Maybe a couple garbage touchdowns towards the end, but I see Philly pulling this one out again. I think it's going to be a close game. It's Mr. Brown's homecoming, right? Because, they keep calling these revenge games. It's just they didn't want to pay him $120 million a year. And, I mean, okay, that's fine. But I don't know. I see Philly winning this one, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
Okay. So I'm going to agree. I'm going to give Philly their 11th win, which is crazy. But I don't know if it's going to – I don't think Tannehill can keep up with the Eagles. So that's kind of where I feel like it's a little bit low, and I would take Philly in the over in this one.
I hope you're right, because I have Jalen in 2 of my fantasy leagues, so that would work out perfect. So that'd be kind of nice.
Let me see if I can. I want to see the standings for the Titans.
And Jalen Hurts has been a monster fantasy quarterback this year. Looking at him, in 2 of my leagues, he's only had 2 games that he's been under 20 points, and one was 16 and one was 17. Just amazing fantasy this year.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's a little too low, but looking at it, the Titans have only given up 205 points, which is one of the.
That's what I mean. They don't give up a whole lot of points, man.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
But Philly's given up 216. The difference is they've scored 303, and the Titans have scored 209 points. So it's a 4-point, a positive 4-point differential for the Titans, and a positive 87-point differential for the Eagles. So, and it's a home game for the Eagles, and so I just feel like they should be able to score. and cover that spread, I think, pretty easily. So yeah, we're both going Eagles. You're hesitant on the over under. I'm gonna say the over. But do you like Philly at 4.5, or do you think it's gonna be closer than that? You given taking the points?
I think I may go points with the Titans, and I may be way off here, but their defense is just really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really good. Again, you go back to that Kansas City game, and people can say what they want about Kansas City not having receivers. They still have Pat Mahomes. You know what I mean? So
right.
They held them to 20 points. So that's a pretty tough feat. Still, Travis Kelce, probably second best to Gronk as far as greatest tight ends ever, but.
And if he keeps going the way he's going, he might dethrone him.
Right. I mean, that is true. So
hard to stop there. So okay, well, we'll keep an eye on this one. We'll see when the day ends what these numbers look like. So I don't really want to talk about these next two. So let's talk about the Jets.
All right.
So Jets at the Vikings. Can we agree? Potential game of the week here? Outside of maybe argument for Kansas City at Cincinnati, but Jets Vikings 7-4, 9-2. Minnesota's a 3-point favorite, but yet only a 44-point spread in this one. So this is an interesting game, and I would be hesitant to bet this one, right? And I think Vegas is as well, because the Jets offense has not been very good, but last week against Mike White. With Mike White, it was explosive. Again, it's the Bears defense, right? So, and they lost key players, no Justin Fields to be able to keep up. Mooney went out for the year. They lost Eddie there with the ankle injury. Yeah, so that just gave in the walk-in touchdown for Garrett Wilson. So yeah, a lot of banged up players on the defense. For me, this is the first test for Mike White. So I think Mike White is going to get at least 2 games, at least another 2 games. So he'll get a 3-game stretch at worst to prove that he's the starter, because this week against the Vikings, this is a real team, right? Not a great defense, but a great offense, or potential to be a great offense. So can he win a shootout, right? If it comes down to it. Is he that guy? Like, yeah, against the Bears, that was an easy game to win, right? I think even, and I told you, I think Zach Wilson should have started that game against the Bears to see what he had, because he has gone up against some of the hardest defenses in football, and you could tell, yes, it has affected his mechanics and his rhythm and his play, but let him go in against a decimated Bears defense and no Justin Fields and see if that was what it was, right? He was just struggling there. But that's the past, not my decision. But I think this one, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson. I mean, the offensive weapons are everywhere in this one, right? So can Mike White keep up? That's kind of the big thing in this one. And then next week, obviously, the Bills. He had 4 interceptions against the Bills to end his run last week. That Bills defense is still very good. And guess what? It's in Florham Park, so that's going to be a tough place. That's a tough place to play for anybody, much less Mike White. So you're really going to see over the next 2 weeks if the Mike White hype is hype or if it's reality, right? If it's an accurate representation of who he is. But let me pause real quick so we could take Edward's question and we'll jump back. So what's up, Edward? Yo, full PPR. Choose one to start. Kamara, White, Swift, B-Rob, Jay Wilson, Zeke. Wilson. Who's Jay Wilson?
Jeff Wilson, running back.
Jeff Wilson. Yes, Jeff Wilson Jr. Sorry.
So you got a problem there, Edward. You have a bunch of running backs that, minus Kamara, who's not playing well at all, that's going up against Campus D, that all split time with other running backs. So now you start looking at matchups. So Kamara at Tampa, I don't like that. White against New Orleans, I don't like that. Because Fournette should be back, so they're going to be splitting carries there. Mostert's back in Miami, and they're playing San Francisco, so I don't know if I care for that one too much. Swift probably has the best matchup, but you figure
but they're not using him,
they're not using him at all,
which
so
is
that's hard.
insane.
So
He's one of the best running backs in the league.
I know. So
It's
to
insane.
me, I would be down to Robinson and Zeke.
I think you're going to go the same way. I have a feeling
I
we're
would
about to
probably
shock
go,
each other.
I would probably go Robinson here only because of pass catching as well.
Okay.
Maybe Zeke against Indy, but Indy's D can be stingy. So I think you're going to have to open up the passing game a little bit more, and that will mean Pollard a little bit more. So I would say Robinson or Zeke, and I'd probably default to Robinson.
Okay. So I would agree with you. That's the two I was narrowing it down to as well. But I was going to go Zeke in this one. Just because I don't know what Vegas is expecting from this game, but like we talked about, it's a very low scoring game for the Giants and Washington. And I don't know why, but they're usually right when they call the low scoring more than they're not. But I would go Zeke. He looked good last week. He's been improving. And he's been a little more engaged and active. So I know the Colts are pretty decent. But then again, they did let Najee Harris look good last week, and Najee Harris has not looked good this week. So I would probably, if it's me, I'm going Zeke, but I think it's between him and Robinson. So
Agreed.
Yeah.
Joe, very good. Hey, for once we kind of agreed on that one there.
Yeah, that doesn't happen often. Trey, good morning, man. Good to see you. Full PPR start 2. This is another nice problem here. Let's see.
ETN for sure.
Yep.
ETN is a must.
Yeah. After that, it gets...
Smith is boomer bust. Touchdown Lenny. I don't see him. Man, Tampa's offense just isn't doing much. They're just not. But I hate Jeff Wilson against San Francisco too, because I think the only way Miami beats San Francisco is if Tua throws for over 350 and like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're going full PPR, and I guess this kind of goes back to Edwards too, is Rachaad White does catch the backfield too. So of course with Edwards, I think he's got better options there, but
right. I'd probably go ETN and White just because he does catch. I mean, he may get 6 receptions for who knows 50 yards, and right there you're getting 11 points. So
right.
Yeah. All right, Joe, you talked me into it. ETN and White.
That's where I'm going too. That's back to back. That's crazy. But yeah, definitely ETN, especially in full PPR. That's a gimme. That's a layup, especially against this Detroit offense. Excuse me, Detroit defense.
Yep.
Man, ETN is he's a plug and play. Forget about it.
Yep.
And then Tua or Dak.
So right now I'm sitting Tua over Lamar, and I may flip flop that. I don't know. And I do have Dak going in one of my other leagues as well against Indy. Yeah. Matchup alone, I like Dak. But boy, I'll tell you what, if Tua starts hitting those quick slants to his wide receivers there that are going to get a lot of yak, I mean, I don't know. But the thing is, remember, Tua is also missing his left and right starting guards today. They're both second stringers. So you got a number 1 ranked defense coming in, and you're missing 2 guards. That's what's keeping me from putting Tua in. I think he's going to be pressured like crazy all game. Right. I mean, I may be wrong, but I'm just looking at the facts of that O-line being hurt.
Yeah, and that's a good point. But let me ask you this on the opposite side of that coin. The Cowboys, can the Colts keep up with them? Is this one of those games that I guess actually it's kind of a moot point because it doesn't seem like Dallas is that team that
they
just
don't
goes
slow
into
down.
Run mode. Yeah,
right. They don't slow down.
Yeah, the argument. I mean, Dallas is a 10.5 point favorite going into this one, and I don't know if Matt Ryan can do enough to keep this game even close. But yeah, they really don't take the foot off the pedal. So
not at all.
I think you're leaning Dak in this one.
I would lean Dak.
And I think you're right. I definitely do. And on top of it, that's a West Coast game. Dolphins are traveling cross country, playing in Santa Clara. That's so you don't have that home field heat advantage, right? So that to tire defenses out, which is whether you like to say it or not, it is an advantage.
Of course it is.
So and Dallas is at home. So they got that home field advantage. They're both dome teams, so that doesn't really change anything. But I think Dak's the right call. So
Wow, man.
I don't know what's going on.
What is going on today?
Yeah,
Did we just become best friends?
Yep. You want to go do fantasy football on YouTube? Yep. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, Trey, I hope that helps. And I hope you were kind of leaning that same way, but and we confirmed it, but we'll see. Let us know how you did. We'll keep an eye on it and see what the right call is. Marcos, good to see you, bud. Half point PPR, Walker or ETN?
Yep. Good luck, Trey.
Yeah.
Let us know how we did too. Marcos, hello. Half point P. Ooh, that's a good one because you got two good matchups.
Yeah.
Walker going
Kenneth
against
Walker's.
And that defense, man. But Walker hasn't played great the last couple games. ETN hasn't played. I just think there's more upside against Detroit. I think there's going to be more scoring in that game.
Yeah. So I'm trying to look at his game totals.
Because I know when I was doing my DFS, I was looking at Walker's past couple games, and I know you can't always do that, but
yeah. Yeah, his last two games, he's got a combined.
Kind of stayed away from him a little bit.
He's under 50 yards total in his last two games.
Yeah.
That's not good. He's got 200-plus yard games, 109, 167 in his last five, but then, 26 last week, 17 the week before, and 51 against the Giants. Now, he has touchdowns, though. He had 2 touchdowns against Vegas on only 26 yards. So, that's money.
Joe, one thing we always bring up, this is potentially going to be a blowout. There's nobody on that Rams offense. So you may see 35 carries from Walker today, and he's the only game in town running back wise. So
that is very true. So this Rams team is non-existent at this point.
No, and Darnold's out today. So, I mean, that team is done. I mean,
you mean Stafford?
No.
Donald.
Aaron Donald's out.
Sorry, your Boston accent sounded like you said Darnold.
No. I mean, I may have, but I meant Aaron Darnold.
So Donald is
Aaron
out.
Donald.
Stafford is out. Kupp is out. Their running game is in shambles. That is a team.
Van Jefferson if you need a 4 o'clock plug-in because he'll probably get 7-8 targets because they'll be playing from behind.
But this is a hard question to ask. I would probably go ETN though for the same reason you said. I know Walker could just get 100 handoffs in this one and call it, but they could also just go to backups as well. Because why would you in this game with the way that the Seahawks season's going? Why would you risk? You can't risk losing Kenneth Walker for any fluke injury right now because there's no running game left, and I think that's what's really keeping them well balanced. So I think ETN against Detroit is just too sweet to pass up, man.
Agreed.
I mean that game is going to be it's going to be bananas. It's the highest scoring game of the week projected. So how do you pass up on a running back that catches everything? So go ETN, Marcos. And Trey, good luck, man. And please let us know if you win. All right, so let's get back to let's see, no other questions right now. So continue to get your questions in, guys. If you're watching, if you're on the fence about things, let us know what your conundrum looks like, and we're gonna walk you through it and find the best route to take. So back to my New York Jets. So like I said, Mike White, big test in this one to wrap that up, but Vikings offense, very, very potent. Defense, not so great. Not bad, but very bad against the pass. And the one thing that I did see this week is they play a lot of zone coverage, which feeds well into the way Mike White plays with his short passes. So that could really help them out a lot. And when you talk about, the yak yards and stuff, That could be good because with what they have, and you saw it last week, when Garrett Wilson or Elijah Moore get the ball in their hands, they could turn it into another 20, 30 yards after the reception. So if they're playing soft, they could really get the ball and break some stuff out. So what do you think in this game? What are you looking at? I know without Jim here, it's hard to get any positive from the Jets, but tell me what you think.
Um, you know, I think it's going to be a close game. I think Minnesota's very beatable. Um, again, I think Jefferson will get his. That's what you got to look out for. But I kind of like the Jets in this game because of their defense, to be quite honest. I'm going to take my Jets hater hat off this week.
That comes off. It's not tattooed on.
It is, but I'm trying to just peel it back enough to be somewhat of a viable person, not to just go off of hatred of teams.
Right.
And I'll tell you, the Patriots were a couple of terrible penalties that they committed away from beating them. They're very beatable. I know it's up in Minnesota, but it is indoors, so you're not worrying about the elements.
Yeah, and it's cold up there right now too.
It is. I'm a
degrees.
little worried about, are we going to see the same Mike White? But I'll tell you what, Joe, I've seen an interview with him. What a smart guy, man. Talk about saying all the right stuff. That team is rallied around him. Everybody on that team, I know. Trust me, I know. I don't know what I'm saying. But that team is totally different with him than Zach Wilson. If Zach Wilson was smart, he would follow Mike White. It should.
Andy,
Jim,
good morning, man.
Jim, man, I can't believe I'm saying this stuff either, but Mike White has me sold. He really does. Just by how he played and how he held himself after the game.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see, and this is going to be my prediction for the Jets this year. You're not going to see Zach Wilson again this year. And I'm telling you right now, if the Jets go on a run that they could potentially go on, because they don't have the toughest schedule in the world either. You know what I mean? They really don't. They could go on a pretty sick run. And if they get into the playoffs and maybe win a game, we'll be talking about, once again, the Jets nuked another high round quarterback pick. Because why would you ever take him out? I don't care where you drafted Zach. Number 2, you got to bite the bullet then and say we messed up. But Mike White he just seems like a natural born leader. He really does.
Well, we'll see what he does because it looks a lot like he played last year against Cincy, but then the wheels came off when he played defenses. So once you
totally
take away the
different
short
team.
game,
Totally different team this year.
It is. It's a much better team this year, but I think with Mike White, you saw it again last week, is he thrives on the short passes, and he did have a couple of nice downfield throws. A couple of them came close to getting mistakes, tipped passes and stuff like that, but he thrives on the underneath throws. And if teams take that away and force him to go 15 yards downfield, that's when he makes mistakes. And Buffalo capitalized on that last year and just ate him up. We'll see if the Vikings adjust at all, but we'll see. Again, give me the Jets. I'm taking the Jets to win this one, obviously, but I think it's going to be a very fun game, and I'm going to be pacing a hole in the floor, I think, is my prediction for this game. But give me the Jets in a close one. Not going to be an easy one. And I think you're agreeing Jets win?
Yes, I'm taking the Jets.
I like
Jim,
that.
don't drive off the road.
I'm glad this is recording, and keep a hand on the steering wheel so it stays straight. All right, Flex Lord Chino, good morning. Haven't seen you, so if this is your first time on the show, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you subscribe, like it, all that good stuff. Want to see each and every week. For me, again, this stays easy, man, and everybody has this problem. Everybody has ETN. This is the Travis Etienne show. We're gonna have to change it. He's gonna have to be like the official. He's gonna have to be the official fantasy player of the Bean Apple, because it's just been one after another. So Travis Etienne all day. Give me Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Love that play this week. It's a no-brainer plug and play. Now your wide receiver 2 gets interesting because those are all very nice plays, and you got yourself an awesome problem here. I like all 3 of them, and especially Josh Palmer with Mike Williams out has been getting a lot of love. Pittman came back to life with Matt Ryan behind under center. He had basically just fallen off the face of the earth with Ellinger back there. But and Chris Olave is still the lone guy there. You don't love it against Tampa. That's a division game. I don't know if it's going to be it's not projected to be a high scoring game. I would probably put that third, but if it's me, I'm probably going Josh Palmer against the Raiders and then Pittman second. But
Same here.
What you got.
Same here. I love that matchup. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think there's going to be, I mean, the Raiders have been in shootouts, the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I'll tell you what, this isn't going to be another game where they're not passing. They don't run the ball well. The Chargers don't run the ball well. And if you have Eckler, you're winning because of his receptions.
Yeah.
And with Williams out, I think, help me out here. Who's the other wide receiver? And
Keenan Allen.
Thank you. He just doesn't play enough for me to remember his name. I think Keenan Allen's their one, but I think Palmer's right there. So I would go Palmer Pittman.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I don't think you can go wrong either way there. It does make me a little nervous on which one is the right call, though, because you do look at that. I mean, if you're looking at a team that the Cowboys, like we were talking about, they don't take their foot off. They don't take their foot off the gas. So the Colts are going to have to keep throwing the ball, I think, in this one. Unless they manage to pull out a lead and actually run Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if they'll do that, though, because they haven't really done it this year, is let the offense run through Jonathan Taylor. They want to continue to let it run through Matt Ryan. But Michael Pittman could have a huge game here as well. So this is a very, very tough problem there, but I think go with what you're comfortable with, but I would definitely go Pittman, Palmer, 1-2, whichever way your gut's telling you on this one. But I do like Palmer against that Raiders defense. Is not
same here.
Not anything special. So and
I can't believe I picked the Jets today.
I know Vikings are going to run all over the Jets. No, I mean, I don't see it happening, but 34-17 Vikings. I don't know, Anthony. We'll see. That's gonna if that happens, we might see Zach Wilson back in next week.
So I'll throw this out here. With Jerry Jeudy back, would you start him or Joshua Palmer?
I would still stick with Palmer.
That's what I'm doing. But you start looking at Judy's targets; it's like 11 a game. I just don't know how he's going to come back.
They just can't. They can't score, and
right.
that's the crux of it.
Part.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're full PPR, maybe
which it is, and that's why I'm kind of contemplating it. But I'm just looking at it, and
they can't score points.
They just don't score. I mean, I'm sure this will be the game where Jeudy, catches 400 yards and 6 touchdowns
against the Ravens defense. I don't think so. I don't see it happening. That Ravens defense has been really, really good, especially since they added Roquan Smith. It just got even better. So, we'll see in this one. Obviously, all right. So both going Jets in this one, and we'll see. Like I said, if this game goes 34-17, we're having a conversation about who the quarterback is next week. I guarantee you that.
Yes.
Next up. All right. So
yeah, true.
Yeah. All right. So Broncos, Ravens. Well, let's talk about that. You just brought up Jeudy. Russell Wilson's looked atrocious. The Ravens' offense has looked atrocious. Both offenses have looked really bad. Ravens' defense has been playing outstanding. Broncos' defense has been lights out all year. The under of 40.5 feels like it's too high in this one. But what do you think? Baltimore's a 9-point favorite, and the over-under is 40.
So the score is going to be 31-8. 31-8. I think Baltimore's going to win. So I'm starting Lamar in one of my leagues over 2, and I'm probably gonna regret that. But I think Lamar's just going to run all over him. I do. I think he's going to run all over him.
I think you're going to regret that too. I would definitely start Tua over Lamar.
I guess we're going to have to see how that one works out.
Nobody runs against the Broncos. Nobody passes against the Broncos. They're just very good defense. They're all defense.
They are.
Like if you gave them Mike White, they'd probably be in the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson's so bad. He's just so bad. It's like it's almost impossible to comprehend or even fathom what is going on with him. Like nobody should fall off a cliff like that. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't get it, but I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this. You start Mark Andrews in this one, and that's about it. Like that's the only thing you really feel comfortable with, right? Is starting Mark Andrews at tight end, and I don't even know how comfortable you feel on that one, but I think it's because the fact the Broncos can't score points, you go with the Ravens here. But I don't think I would take the 9 points.
I don't think I would either. I don't know how that's going to be a 9-point game. I truly don't.
I would probably take the Broncos and the points there and take the under. I think this is going to be a super defensive battle that comes down to like a Justin Tucker field goal from like 76 yards or something like that, because he's ridiculous with his leg. But they did miss that long one last week. But all right. Browns Texans, the return of Deshaun Watson. And who does he return against? The Texans. So
the Texans.
Kind of funny how that worked out. But the 1-9 Texans are about to go to 1-10, is what I'm guessing. But do you like Deshaun Watson this week? Is he an immediate plug and play? Because I will tell you that I am playing somebody in fantasy that plugged him right in against the Texans.
So it's funny you said that. I contemplated picking him up or Geno Smith, and I picked up Geno Smith this week, just for the weeks. I don't like the matchups of my other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Which was just Tua and Lamar in that league, and I picked up Geno Smith and dropped a running back I'm not going to use anymore. I did contemplate Watson. I think they're going to run heavily more on Chubb. I think Watson will put up decent numbers because they are playing Houston. Mm-hmm. But I would expect more of a running game. Now, who knows? We may be way off. I don't know. Yeah. But, I mean, Watson is a phenomenal quarterback, so he's going to be good. It's just he hasn't played in
2 years.
700 and like 40 days or something like that, whatever
basically,
it is. So,
basically 2 seasons.
Yeah. So I'm sure he's going to be rusty. His timing will be off, but at least he's starting against that team, you know.
And then quickly, since we only have, I didn't realize how fast the time had gone, 2 minutes left for anybody who's watching, Nico Collins in this game.
I picked him up in 2 of my leagues. He's playing this week.
Yeah. No Brandon Cooks.
Garbage points.
Number one guy, nice plug and play if you need a wide receiver.
Yep.
You got 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute, depending on where you're at and the atomic clock, but you're running out of time. Nico Collins, grab him, plug him in if you've got a questionable guy there at wide receiver or a spot you need to plug. But we're both going Browns in this one, right?
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be close, and sadly, they should be starting Davis Mills still because he makes them more competitive. Not great, but more competitive. Right. All right, and then let's run through the afternoon games. Seahawks, we're both taking over the Rams.
Yep.
I'm assuming, and that 6.5 point spread feels like free money.
Oh, my God, yes. If you're not taking them in a parlay, even on the money line something, make sure you got Seattle in there.
Yeah, and an over-under of 41.
I think they'll put up 41 themselves, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense in that one. So that's another one to double up is that game. Dolphins at 49ers. This one, keep an eye on for the afternoon games.
I like San Francisco. I do. I like San Fran on this one, yeah.
And Vegas does a lot, too, giving them a 4.5 point spread.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. Give me the 49ers as well at home. Chiefs, Bengals.
I like Bengals here, man. I do, especially with Chase coming back. That's gonna be a fun game to watch. It really will be.
That is. Red Zone's gonna be blowing up in the afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, they got some interesting games this afternoon. Great. Actually, all the games are good this week as far as for action wise. Yeah,
a lot of good games this week. Yep. Chargers, Raiders.
I'm gonna go Raiders here.
Okay. I think I'm going to go Chargers. I don't remember which way I picked, but I think I'm going Chargers. I just don't trust the Raiders at all, but they are 2.5 point favorites and a 49.5 over-under.
That's going to be a fun game to watch.
That's Vegas. Vegas knows something about Vegas in this one.
Yeah.
And we're both going Cowboys against the Colts. Do you like the 10.5?
That's a lot, man.
That is.
I don't know if I like the 10.5, but
Yeah.
actually I don't like the 10. At home, no, even at
10
home,
and a
that's a
half
lot.
and an over under of 44.
See, that's the part I don't understand.
It doesn't that like those two conflict too much.
Right,
So you got to take one or the other,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think. So I would take the Colts and the points, I think.
Agree.
I don't trust that one, but and probably the over. If I'm taking the Colts and the points, then we're probably going over. And then Saints Bucks Monday night.
Who knows?
Flip a coin.
I
And
mean, talent-wise, you would say Tampa, but that team, I don't get it. I don't. They can't score. That's another team. They're like Denver. They cannot
agree.
score points. They just
I agree.
can't.
But I'll go Bucks at home. I'll give them the home field advantage. Saints are 1-4 on the road, so they don't play well outside of that dome. So yeah, give me the Bucks. But I'm not putting money on this one.
I mean, I will too. But
Tampa by 3.5. Tampa by 3.5. They're trying to bait you into that Saints bet, but
I don't even know if I bet that much.
yeah, that's a tough one. So, all right, well, that's it. We are over the 10 o'clock, beyond the 10 o'clock hour, so it is time to watch some Jets Vikings football. See how that one goes. I'm sure I'll be hearing a lot from you. But yeah, guys, hopefully best of luck to your teams. Like I said, this is crunch time in fantasy, so hopefully you lock up a playoff spot or at least push yourself up higher if you're chasing a playoff spot. Best of luck to your teams, fantasy and in reality. And until next week, week 14, we will see you then. For John, I'm Joe. For Jim that's driving, we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.